Hello, I'm Sophia Lou and welcome to my channel.
Hello guys and welcome to this week's Sketchbook Sunday. This week the topic as chosen by you guys is designing the perfect villain. I'll explain the difference between a villain and a rival in a bit, but for now, if you are interested in choosing one of the random topics that I have chosen, a poll's going to pop up here. Don't worry if your chosen topic isn't chosen, there is just a list of things that I'm eventually going to do anyway. If you have a suggestion for a topic you'd like me to cover, let me know in the comments section down below. Also, if you do any artwork during any of these videos, tag me on Instagram and Twitter, or use the hashtag #StayCreative with Sophia Lou, just so I can see your amazing work, and so far you've all been creating amazing things. So this sketchbook is a tiger sketchbook. I haven't had actually a chance to play around in it as much as I would like. I've just been a little bit too busy to be able to just do some sketchbook work as much. You know, it's just stuff piles up. But anyway, I've got my cup of tea, I've got my sketchbook, I've got my pencils. Grab your sketchbook, grab your pencils, and let's discuss. So, what is a villain? A villain is usually the bad guy in the story. They are usually the bad guy against your protagonist. They are the person you are rebelling against. They are very often in fairy tales, and they are the person who is not only just causing harm between the hero and his family, or their family, and the conflict between the hero and the villain, or they're constantly pursuing the hero. A villain in a story is the bad guy. They are the one that you are rooting against. Although there have been stories where it has been flipped and it shows the story from the view of the villain, and there can be villains that necessarily aren't personified. A villain can be the main driving point of your story. What is your hero working against? So when you're thinking about your villain, you want to create a good backstory. Why are they the villain? What are they fighting against? What is the reason that, say, if they are taking over the world, why do they want to take over the world? You want to think about and flesh out your villain. Your villain isn't evil for the sake of being evil. They'll have drive and motivation. So what makes this different from a rival? Well, a rival is there to not only drive your character forward, but a rival isn't necessarily evil. A villain is just personified in stories as an evil person or as an evil thing. They are the driving point between your character's quest. So in my story of Plant Witch and with the Mushroom Hunters universe, there isn't necessarily a villain. It is just an evil within the world that is slowly growing and slowly corrupting the world, but it isn't necessarily a thing. But if you want to design a villain, here's a few tips I would like to say. This is a lot of observation work from like cartoons I've watched or from books I've read, and necessarily there is lots of different things that you can apply. I would say if you're going to design a villain, you're going to make them look a little bit evil, and even if they don't look evil, they have to have something about their personality which is off. There are some fantastic examples. If you've ever watched a film, one of my favourite films, which puts a twist on the trope of a villainous person, has a evil character called Dora Dimple, and the film is Cats Don't Dance. And the girl is very, very cute. She's very, very soft and rounded, which tends to go against a villain trope anyway. And she has like a cute little button nose, and she has like a little sickly smile, but her personality is garbage. And that is something that you can show within your villain. Your villain's body language will completely and utterly change who your character is. So if you're going to design an evil character, it has to be their stance. Villains tend to be confident, they tend to be up their own a little bit, they tend to have this overconfidence that airs about them. One of my favourite villains from any story is Count Olaf from A Series of Unfortunate Events. It was one of my favourite book series when I was growing up, and it's such a fantastic portrayal of a villain. He's skinny, he's scheming, he's manipulative, but we come to understand throughout his story, which I'm not going to reveal too much because there is an amazing Netflix series that's out at the moment, which if you haven't watched it, I recommend it. I really love it. I think it's phenomenal. But like, he's tall, he's skinny, and he has the epiphany of someone who is evil throughout his body language. And I would suggest not only just watching the series for his actions, but watch the series and see how the character is portrayed. They have this overconfidence. A villain tends to have this confidence that airs among them, even if they're skinny, even if they're large, even if they have a bit of weight or underweight, this, that and the other. There's lots of different traits that a villain can have. But one of the things I like to do is I like to think of shapes. I like to break down my character in shapes, where you can have like a sickly, sweet, round-ish character who is very confident in the stance and the way that they are. You have to think, what motivates this character? In Cats Don't Dance, the motivation behind Dara Dimple is she's the best. No one else is gonna beat her. She is the main. She wants to be known as the star and no one else can show her otherwise. So she has this stance of a very confident person. And she just has like her angular face and her eyebrows. Well, she doesn't really have an angular face, she has a round face. I was thinking of something else. And she has this very typical, I'm cute look. But that cute look has like an undertone of evilness to it, and it works really, really well. I tend to think when you're thinking of Disney, there is a very typical like facial trope that they go for, or a very typical evil character. Think of your colour schemes as well. In most Disney films, an evil character tends to wear a darker tone overall. They tend to wear a lot of black and a lot of darker tones. So if you're going for a Disney-esque villain, you're thinking about your tonal work and the way that your character's colour scheme works as well. It tends to be that a villain has a darker palette in general. And when those do break the mould, they use the character's personality and the way that the character's confidence brings about how that character is. It's not just the tone of the voice, it's how the character acts. I keep on going back to Dara Dimple because it does break the mould quite a bit. And the way that she speaks and the way that her mannerisms are just really well done. If you have a chance and you do want to check it out, I do recommend a video actually, and it's the song, oh gosh, what's the song name now? There's a song that she sings and it's called Big and Loud, and everything that she's doing in it, she's being, you know, jabbing and nitpicking. She's like, big and loud, and like the way that she is pushing herself across, she is this evil character. But looking at her look straight away, you wouldn't pick her as an evil character. It's fantastic in the way that they've done that. So when I'm thinking of an evil character, I like to push tropes and bend tropes to how the character is. It's more about their personality and how they act in certain situations, more than the actual character's look. A look helps drive you that this character is evil. But if you do want to push the trope a little bit more, you can make a character more conniving and make a character more manipulative in a way, and they may look sweet as honey, but unfortunately underneath they have an evil personality. So you're gonna say, but that just sounds like a rival. Yes, a villain can also be a rival, but a rival doesn't necessarily have to be evil, whereas a villain is portrayed as evil. A villain is evil, so to speak. You may go to your typical anime tropes, you know, the ho 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 ho, like that's a snooty person, they tend to be a rival, they're not necessarily evil for evil's sake, they have motivations behind them. But when I'm thinking of doing like an evil-ish character, I tend to think about the way that their facial constructure is, the way that their body language is, and how can I make this character more evil? Well, it's all down to your facial shapes as well. So if you want if you want to put the pictures up in a lineup and go, which one of these characters is evil? Naturally, a person is going to point to someone who has a darker palette overall, not in their skin tone. I'm talking about like the clothing that they wear. I'm talking about like the way that their body is and this, that, and the other. Sorry, I have a really lovely scratch from Bella from earlier when she was playing, and the way that they act and the way that you would portray them in a picture. If you have a character just stood still, that's not going to tell much about their personality. The more that your character bends and moves, the more you're going to be able to put across their characterization. Sorry there hasn't been much drawing in this. I felt that this was more of a talking thing that I had to get across, more than actually drawing. Because it is hard to sometimes portray a villain and to portray a person who is innocently evil. If you do want to sound off your comments down below, let me know your favourite evil villain in any series. I've named a few of mine. There is hundreds of series out there with amazing villains that you have to check out. I have hundreds of books and hundreds of series that I absolutely love, and TV, books, games, and I really do enjoy the villain trope because sometimes it can be twisted and changed and not necessarily have the character look evil. But then, you know, you have a character like Ganondorf and you just look at them and then go, damn it, that person's evil. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. I hope you've enjoyed this and have a wonderful day. Stay creative.